Sola Ball and Alex Karaban absolutely blew the roof off of People's Bank Arena. This is Locked On UConn.
You are Locked On UConn, your daily podcast on the UConn Huskies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Horns down. Welcome in following another gritty 71-63 win over Texas. I am Matt Schonvisky, two-time graduate and 10-year credentialed media member and host of the only daily UConn podcast, Locked On UConn, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network in the world. Please hit the like and subscribe button, and thank you for making this your first listen each and every single day. First up is, of course, the win Friday night over Texas for UConn men's basketball. Literally, the roof almost came off People's Bank Arena after those two big threes, and Dan Hurley said it was literally the loudest moment he heard that arena in his 8 years here at UConn. We'll dissect that win. Then, the Biletnikoff was handed out over the weekend, and listen, Skyler Bell absolutely got robbed. We'll discuss. And then we'll talk transfer portal, as several Huskies have made it known that they will be entering the portal when it opens up later this year. But first, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. So basketball is through their toughest non-conference. Non-conference is over. They're through the toughest stretch out of conference. They went 5-1. A spectacular showing. They're now 10-1. One of less than 10 teams to have double-digit wins at this point in the season. Just so happens one other is down the road, New Haven, Yale, basketball capital of the world, expanding above and beyond UConn just here in the state of Connecticut. But UConn, 5 out-of-conference wins, all name opponents, 10 wins overall. And here's the thing. This team hasn't played the best they're capable of. There's a lot to like. There's a lot to improve on. And the biggest thing that catches my eye is what's possible. What is this team going to be when they figure it out? And what do they need to figure out? Rebounding, yes. But I'm more interested in what this rotation looks like going forward. And Dan Hurley talked about this after the game. Listen, Braylon Mullins, his first ever career start as a freshman. He came in. Stewart goes to the bench. Reed's back starting. This is the first game that they've been in this rotation this season. So building that comfort level of knowing how the game's going to flow over the first 10 minutes. Who are the first subs? What's that look like? What's the rotation look like? Who are they going to be comfortable with in certain situations? That still all needs to play out. And Hurley made a comment post-game. Listen, what they're doing, this is what great teams do. This is a quote. What great teams do is find ways to win when they're still going through it. And that's exactly what UConn's been doing. Finding ways to win. Listen, 8-point win over Texas. They didn't play great. UConn did not have a great game. The first part of that second half, with the amount of turnovers that they've had and the struggles that Silas Demery's had since his early season stardom when he had that triple-double, there is so much to figure out and so much to like and so much upside with this group. That's what catches my eye. Because the peak of this team we haven't seen. Yet, they've gone into Fog Allen. They've won twice at MSG. They took care of business against the SEC. And now we start Big East play. And now the grind begins. Now the matchups, the familiarity with what Hurley likes to run with all these opposing coaches, it begins on Tuesday. But the biggest thing that I like is the upside. the upside. And there's so much upside. I mean, Braylon Mullins came out of the gates and he lit the world on fire. He was in double digits, I want to say, in the first 10 minutes. That kid's going to be special. He already is. You can see it. Pure shooter. He's going to bring it all on the offensive side of the ball, for sure. Alex Karaban. Solo ball. Those back-to-back threes. Listen, I had my 3-year-old son there. And his 2 favorite players, his name's Liam. His favorite player last year is no longer here. Obviously, you can guess who that was. But his 2 favorite players going forward, Solo and Karaban, delivering in clutch moments. Because that game was down to 5. And Solo's backed up near half court and in the corner over there, and he just chucks, bang. Come down the other end, blocked at the rim. And then you find the cross-court pass, and Karaban bangs another, and bedlam inside People's Bank Arena. A spectacular 30-second stretch. It was so loud you couldn't even hear the UConn chant with Big Red going. Because it was just crazy in that building. And that's the energy, that's the excitement that this team deserves as we move forward from this fan base. Again on Tuesday night. Because the Big East grind's coming. And this is really going to be a chance and an opportunity to continue the momentum that this team built up in their out-of-conference play. So what do they need to clean up? Listen, rebounding wasn't great. The turnovers, what was it? 18 turnovers, I think it was. Hurley was disgusted with that after the game. He thought they would have scored up in 85+ if they didn't turn it over so many times. And then the foul disparity. I don't know what's going on there. But it was 10-2 at one point in the second half. I'd like to see a more flow in the game. We talked about this in Florida even. The flow of the game. Like I feel like that's where college basketball's struggling a bit right now is the constant whistle. And it's creating havoc here with UConn because they're putting some key guys in foul trouble at times and still haven't seen, like I said at the start, the rotation that we want to see going forward. So, listen, a few things as we enter into Big East play. Hurley talked about this a little bit post-game. Terrace Reed, Braylon Mullins have both missed significant time. And he thought they were sucking wind a little bit there in the second half. Still not potentially in tip-top game shape because they've been sitting for a while. That's going to come as the season progresses. You're going to see more and more from Reed. You're going to see more and more from Mullins. And listen, Braylon Mullins, if we're going to see more from Braylon Mullins as a freshman, like what's his ceiling going to be? So there's a lot to like. There's a lot to be excited about. There's a lot to really look forward to as Butler comes in on Tuesday. And then this Big East stretch all the way through March. What's that going to look like? So Huskies 10-1. And so much to like. And Hurley is in a very good spot with so much to also improve. Fouls, turnovers, rebounding. And I'm still high on Silas Demery. Last topic on the Huskies basketball today. Silas Demery. Listen, triple-double. He put himself in rare air in the early part of the season when he registered that triple-double. Only a select few at this university that have done that. I like his game. He reminds me of some pretty good players we have had in the past and their ability to get in the lane, ability to get in the rim, ability to get creative with some fades around the rim. He just reminds me of some of those players we've had with the ball in their hands. So, yes, he's had some struggles. I think he's going to get it together. Listen, he's clearly a great player. Settle down. As we enter into the Big East, new start to the season, I think he's going to be a big factor as we move forward. So I am not off the Silas Demery bandwagon whatsoever. I think he's going to be a key cog as we move forward. So, Huskies, next step is the start of Big East play with Butler on Tuesday. And then you should continue to see an uptick in their play. Biggest thing over this stretch, rotation. Iron it out. Get comfortable in all your roles. Mullins starting. Reed starting. Back healthy. Stewart off the bench, I really like. And I think Hurley even talked about this. I think he's the type of player, he's not going to get down by going to the bench. He's going to, like he did on Friday night, come in and make an immediate impact. Hit the nice three. Was an impactful player. Made his presence known. So, listen, I think he's going to be very, very comfortable in that role. And then, like I said, I think Silas Demery gets it together. And Karaban continues to be the leader. Went through those struggles last year. I think he led the team in scoring Friday night. He's the leader and the glue that everyone can look to if things get tough down the stretch in certain games. And you're seeing the performance down the stretch in games. What they've been through over the years, I think, with Karaban as the leader of this unit, he's not going to let anything slip. And that's why you're seeing UConn perform down the stretch in these games. So with that, we've got Butler on Tuesday night. On the other side, certain Husky was robbed. We'll talk about that after the break. The holidays are officially here, which means gift hunting season is on. And if you want something meaningful, personal, and guaranteed to get a reaction, Aura Frames is the gift that delivers every time. It's not just something you wrap, it's a way to share memories. Because Aura isn't your average picture frame. You can preload the frame with photos before gifting it. So when they plug it in, the memories are already there. No apps to figure out, no setup headaches, just instant smiles. Add a personalized message right inside the frame so the gift feels thoughtful the moment it's opened. Packaging comes gift ready, no price tag, no wrapping needed. It is a huge win. It's a holiday gift that actually gets used, not forgotten in a drawer. For a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, by using promo code COLLEGE at checkout. That's AURA frames.com, promo code COLLEGE. This deal is exclusive to listeners and frames sell out fast, so order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Welcome back in on a Monday morning edition of Locked On UConn. We're switching gears from men's basketball over to the football side. And listen, I'm very disappointed. Skyler Bell did not win the Biletnikoff. I think it's an absolute injustice. And it's just another example of what's wrong with college football and how programs outside of the Power Four are viewed, and along with the programs, the players that play on those teams. Listen, wide receiver Skyler Bell can play on any team in the Power Four. Let's make that clear. Just because he plays for the University of Connecticut, there's some thought that this program, or perception that this program is not one of these top-level programs. That needs to change. And it needs to change now. Because this is a program that has won 9 games 2 years in a row. But there's more to that. What this program used to be, with the amount of players that they put into the NFL. That's been long forgotten. That's been like wiped off the radar and erased from the history books, apparently, in college football, just because of how bad things were in the latter half of the 2010s. Because you put this program in the Big East from the Big East days and put them in the Big 12 today, if you flash back to that time, UConn is the number one team putting players into the NFL of any current Big 12 team for the years that UConn was in the Big East during that same stretch. From 2004 through that decade of 2013, 14, 15. More than Colorado, more than Texas Tech, more than UCF, more than Cincinnati, more than Kansas, more than Kansas State, more than Iowa State, more than Oklahoma State, more than Baylor, more than Houston, more than BYU. If I missed any, my apologies. But during that stretch, UConn had more NFL players than any of those schools during the same time frame. On to Skyler Bell. Like I said, he can play wide receiver for any P4 team and start and be the focal point. The fact that he did not win the Biletnikoff is a disservice. It's a slap in the face. Let's compare the stats. Receptions. Skyler Bell, 101 receptions on the year. Lemon won it. He had 79. 22 receptions. 22. It's not a small percent. That's not a small percent. We're talking 20%, 25% more. He had 25, more than 25% more receptions than Lemon did. Let's do yards. Bell, 1,278. Lemon, 1,156. Again, ding, ding, Skyler Bell. How about touchdowns? Bell, 13, Lemon, 11. Listen, I've heard and I've seen, because I put a tweet out with those stats, I've seen the replies. I understand the schedule UConn has played. Believe me. I also watch the games. I also see the talent level. And I also know what Skyler Bell is and how he translates to the next level. He is Stephon Diggs. He is Steve Smith, the Carolina Panthers version. That's a comp of what Skyler Bell will be in the NFL, in my opinion. I'm not a draft expert. I've been around college football for 20 years, though. And I can understand what guys have. And Skyler Bell has it. He turned down $500,000 from Michigan to stay at UConn and have a performance like he did this year. What's one of the other things I got? Yes, the schedule. Okay, the competition. Fine. Still pulled up the numbers, still performed. He's still the best player and best wide receiver in the nation. Okay, so some of his catches were short passes. Well, guess what? What did he do after he got those passes and the ball in his hands? His ability to make plays after the catch and rack up yak and, listen, end up in the end zone on some of these short passes that he did this year. Spectacular ability. Spectacular ability. And it wasn't just Skyler Bell that, and listen, he got recognized and as a first-team Walter Camp All-American. Deservedly so. But the fact that he didn't win the top receiver award in college football, it's bothersome to me. Because when we see him day in and day out perform to the level that he did, and if he decided to come back and play in the bowl game, postseason stats count towards NCAA records. So if he came back and played, he would be the nation's leader in receptions. He would be the nation's leader in yards. And if he found the end zone, he'd be the nation's leader in touchdowns. And win that triple crown that was obviously out there on social media throughout the entire back half of that season. So just because Skyler Bell had a Husky on his helmet instead of a Trojan or a Golden Dome doesn't mean he's not a top player in the nation. Doesn't mean UConn doesn't produce top players. Because guess what? The pipeline to the NFL from this school is back. And it's not going anywhere as we move forward, as we see the historical success that Jason Candle has had and what he's going to be bringing to the UConn football program. So I had to get that off my chest. Skyler Bell was the best receiver in college football in 2025. Hands down. Hands down. We need to stop giving these awards to the most popular teams, the most recognizable mascots. We need to start giving it to the players that deserve it. So, Skyler Bell, you were, in my mind, the Biletnikoff winner. On the other side, we'll talk more UConn football. As with the coaching change, there's going to be a lot entering the portal, and we have a long list. We'll be back. NFL Sundays move fast, one big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds or even before the game begins. Patriots, 1-point dogs against Buffalo. I know Stephon Diggs was not happy about that, but guess what? Maybe Vegas knows what they are talking about. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift, a receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. You can bet next touchdown scorers, drive results, totals, and more. Keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Back in on this Monday morning, Locked On UConn. Final segment here as we talk UConn football and the transfer portal. Listen, 17 players have entered since the end of the season. And a lot have entered since Coach Candle has come in. 16 of the 17. I think Victor Rosa was the first one that announced, and that was even before Candle came aboard. And even before Jim Moore announced that he was leaving. So I think Victor Rosa was going to be considering the portal regardless of what happens. He's one of 4 running backs in the portal. And this is something you should expect to see this. So as a new coaching staff comes in, a lot of these players had those relationships with Jim Mora. They're going to look potentially at Colorado State or potentially somewhere else. I'm okay with that. Is Mora poaching players? I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to get into what's going to set this team up for success as we move forward. What fits the most with what Coach Candle wants to do offensively and defensively as we move forward. So, yes, there's a lot of players here that have produced over the years. There's a lot of recognizable names. There's a lot of Connecticut kids on this list as well. From Rosa and Cam Edwards and John Nider and Ben Morosky. Those are all players that have been major factors over these last 2 years to get this team back to winning ways. 9 wins back-to-back. So what are the Huskies going to be looking to replace? Well, right now, and listen, caveat, just because you're in the portal doesn't mean you're leaving. You can test the waters and still call Stores home in 2026. Just look at what happened with Skyler Bell. We talked in the last segment. He got offered $500,000 to go play at Michigan this season for 1 year in college as a senior. passed it up, and he stayed. But he entered and tested the waters. Just like, listen, I expect some of these players to come back. I do. Do I know who? Have I talked to anyone? I have not. But just knowing how things play out with the portal, I expect at least one or a couple to come back and play for UConn next season. But I do want to do a quick rundown of who actually is in the portal as we start thinking about looking forward to next season and as Coach Candle comes in and starts assessing this roster. So at running back, you've got 4 key players all in the portal. You've got Rosa, you've got MJ Flowers, you've got Mel Brown, and you got Cam Edwards. Very talented guys. We know what we have there with those 4. If you lose them all, it's a heavy lift. Cam, we know, was 18th in the nation in rushing. Mel Brown can hit the end zone at any moment. Victor Rosa, fan favorite. To a lesser extent than Mel Brown, can still hit the home run. And MJ Flowers, we got to see as the season progressed when Mel went down. All 4 guys that can carry the rock. John Nider at receiver. That's a big one that I hope we see back. Because he is somebody that I think has a very real possibility, if he came back, to be a top threat in this passing game. He clearly is a very confident player, can clearly catch the ball down the field, in traffic, contested. He proved it all season long. So his transition from quarterback to receiver has gone spectacularly well. And he's somebody that I thought was going to be able to step in and be one of those key pieces in the passing game next season. Diamande, a linebacker. I like him downhill. I think he's a spectacular, fill the hole type of guy. Let's see what type of defense the Huskies are going to be playing when Candle brings in his defense coordinator. And that will really dictate, is Diamande a fit for this team going forward? Then you got some other guys in the secondary. Chris Hudson, Cyrus Gilbert, a very high-profile recruit coming out of high school, out of the state of Florida. And you got Pee Wee, Harris. So a lot of DBs entering the portal. Perhaps, we've talked about running back. Offensive line. 3 key guys in the portal. Ben Morosky, Karsten Cassidy, Brady Wayburn. It's no secret this offensive line has been big major reason why this offense has been so successful. So we'll see how things play out here over the next several weeks with the transfer portal and as Coach Candle starts bringing in his own recruits and assessing performance in the bowl game and starting to set this roster up for spring ball in 2026. So with that, thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Locked On UConn. Please hit the like and subscribe button. And for a second listen, check out Locked On Sports Today, hosted by Peter Bukowski, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, go Huskies.